Hello, I'm Sara, and I'm a board-certified behavior analyst. Today I'd like to talk to you about a rapidly growing career path in applied behavior analysis, or ABA therapy, and how you can get started with just a high school diploma or GED. This is potentially a great fit for people with experience or interest in childcare, psychology, social work, or education. I started in this field in 2015 when I was 20 years old, and now in 2022 I'm making six figures a year doing what I love. Before I go into more detail, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Now let's get started. ABA therapy is a research-based set of strategies rooted in behavior analysis or behavior science. These strategies are used to change behavior, usually by teaching or strengthening skills and reducing problem behavior. ABA therapy is most commonly used with children and adolescents diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. This work is extremely fulfilling, and because there are more people needing these services than there are people providing them, this work is in extremely high demand. It appealed to me because I was studying psychology at the time and I was hoping to be a school psychologist. I wanted experience working with kids with special needs, so this was a good way for me to get started. After about a year or so in ABA, I realized that this was the career I actually wanted, so I switched gears and focused on that. So like most people I've talked to in this field, I sort of fell into ABA and stuck with it. It's so interesting because most people in this field hadn't heard of ABA really before. Most people, including myself, get their start in this field by providing direct therapy services to children with autism as a registered behavior technician, or RBT. An RBT is trained by and practices under the supervision of a board-certified behavior analyst, or BCBA, which is what I am now. Most of the time, RBTs provide services to one client at a time, and this can take place in a clinic setting and also in the client's home, community, or school. On an average day in the life of an RBT, you would be implementing a behavior intervention plan designed by the BCBA to address problem behavior. And you'd also be teaching skills in communication, play, social skills, cognition, self-help skills, and more, depending on the individual needs of the client. The work is extremely rewarding. When you see a client have a breakthrough moment and learn something new, or learn that they can communicate their needs without getting upset. Like I said before, in ABA we use research-based practices that make a real, measurable, positive difference in these children's lives. And we use data to track progress over time so we can see on paper that this child is learning. One of the fun things about being an RBT is that every client is different, so every treatment plan is different. And this should create some variety in your workday if you have more than one client. The pay rate for RBTs will depend on the area you live in and the agency you work for. I've seen a range of about $15 an hour for someone starting out new in the field to about $25 an hour to someone who's really experienced and talented at what they do. Definitely make sure to compare and contrast the agencies in your area when it comes to pay. Because the need for services is so high, most RBTs can get about 30 to 40 hours a week. Also, many ABA agencies provide benefits such as medical, dental, and vision insurance. If you end up not sticking with ABA long term, you will gain a lot of practical experience in psychology and childcare. A lot of people will use that experience toward becoming a counselor one day or a social worker. RBTs can find work almost anywhere in the United States, and there are also some opportunities outside of the United States as well. A lot of the time in this field, you end up working with clients who engage in tantrum behavior, self-injurious behavior, aggression toward others, and even running away. But your BCBA supervisor should be there to support and prepare you for these situations. The BCBA is responsible for making sure that their RBTs have enough training and supports in place to deal with these behaviors. BCBAs, ABA agencies, and the client's caregivers, if you're working in the home, should be taking the necessary precautions to keep you and the client safe at all times. Now that we've been through all that, let's talk about how you get started in the field. You will most likely be considered for initial hire by an ABA agency if you're 18 years or older, you have your high school diploma or an equivalent such as a GED, and you pass a background check and abuse registry check. People with work or volunteer experience in childcare, education, working with people with special needs or other helping professions, as well as people with an educational background in psychology, social work, or education will more than likely have an edge in the hiring process. And then to actually become a registered behavior technician, in addition to all those other things, you have to go through a 40-hour video training, which most often will be provided and paid for by the ABA agency you work for. If the agency doesn't provide this, there is a free one online through the Autism Partnership Foundation. I'll link to it in the description. Once you do the video training, and ideally some hands-on training as well with the BCBA, you then have to pass a competency assessment, which is a hands-on demonstration of the clinical skills involved in ABA. The BCBA will be the one to do that assessment. Another one of my videos actually walks you through every single item on that competency assessment, and I will link to that in the description as well. Once you pass that competency assessment, you would then apply and sit for an exam, which you would take at a Pearson testing center. A lot of ABA agencies will pay for this step as well. Once you pass the exam, you're an RBT. A lot of RBTs are happy to stay RBTs in the long term, which is wonderful because our field really needs talented and experienced direct care providers. Others want to take on a more advanced role and become BCBAs. This is a master's level credential which qualifies you to supervise RBTs and design and oversee the treatment of clients. There's usually a pretty big pay increase between the RBT and BCBA roles. Comparing an RBT's pay to a new BCBA's pay, I would say that there's a difference of about $30,000 to $40,000 a year. Some people don't want to get their master's degree, so instead they just get their bachelor's degree and become assistant behavior analysts or BCABAs. A lot of people call BCABAs the unicorns of our field because they're kind of rare, and I think that's because there aren't a whole lot of job opportunities for them anymore. This is because ABA services are reimbursed by Medicaid and private insurance companies, and these entities usually only reimburse for RBT and BCBA services. So that's my very abbreviated overview of the RBT role in the ABA field in general for people outside of the field who don't know a whole lot about it. Please check out my other videos and information from the Behavior Analyst Certification Board for more information, which I will link to in the description below. Thank you for watching.